Hello everyone, and welcome back. It is finally time for the final. It is the 22nd week of Misfits Racing League Season 3 action. And to kick us off for the week, it is the European split. It is their 17th round this season and their final round this season. And joining me all season long for this action has been, of course, Unicorn. How you doing? We're here. It's time.
It's finally time to wrap up all our divisions for Season 3, and we had an endurance race around here at Abu Dhabi at the weekend, so we've got a little bit of experience with the track already in the game. So that was a fun race, and I'm hoping to see the same here from the EU drivers. And
21 turns. 21 turns, 5.5 kilometers. This is a unique circuit. Of course, we've been seeing a lot of it recently. As you said, we had the Endurance Series on Saturday. We also had the real Formula One World Championship wrap up around here on Sunday. And now we're here to kick off 5 races around the Yas Marina circuit. Let's take a look at the calendar and how far we've come. Of course, this is now the final round, round 17 for the European division. We were in Brazil last week. Before that, it was Mexico. We've been through the US, Japan, Russia, with Singapore, Italy, Belgium, Hungary, Britain, and then we had even more before that. We'll take a look real quick, actually, at where things have began this season. This is how things looked at the beginning. It was Spain for round 1 here for these EU racers: Monaco, Baku, Canada, France, and then Austria, and then they moved into the UK. Let's take a look at who is on the grid for this European split. We have Jake and Whisper over at Mercedes, Hurricane and Ruben for Ferrari, Dirk and Cotters over at Red Bull, Alexander and Kana for McLaren with Safso and Beavis at Renault, Jeff and Tim over at AlphaTauri, Vettel and Ifilipic over at Racing Point. Ifilipic now the confirmed European Division champion. XTXP and Bajarn over at Alfa Romeo. No conviction in Moen for Haas, and it's Baza and Adam rounding out the 20 racers on this grid. And right before we jump into racing action, take a look at the standings, because of course Ifilipic, as I said, confirming that title. 227 points for him in the Racing Point. Tim right now is still tight with Angel for that second runner-up position. So Angel wants to make it a 1-2, I imagine, at the end of the season for the Racing Point squad, and he can do just that today. So it's the top 3: Ifilipic, Tim, Angel. Hurricane also in that fight for the second slot, as is Jake. So quite a lot of tight battling going to be happening in the point standings today. Racing Point, Ferrari, Mercedes, your top 3 in this Constructors' Championship. And we should be just about ready to go racing here, Unicorn.
Yeah, I think we are indeed. We've got a full lobby of drivers ready and waiting. A fair few reserves, I think, but I don't think it's going to impact that fight for P2, which is very, very interesting. It has come right down to this wire.
Interesting campaign.
But yeah, we are ready to go racing here around Abu Dhabi. It's going to be, what, 22, 23 laps, I think. We had 55 in the endurance. And there we are. The clock has started ticking in the lobby to count us down. But yeah, we've got 4 drivers capable of taking that second spot. It's going to be, I imagine they all are very aware that they're in that fight. And I'm sure they're all going to be, they're going to have very sweaty palms, I imagine, by the end of this race.
Something like that, yeah. It's always intense, these races. Abu Dhabi, a circuit that in Sector 2, nice and flat out pretty well. I mean, you have that chicane coming out of 8-9, separating the 2 long straights of Sector 2. But other than that, I mean, it's all really in Sector 3 here around Abu Dhabi. A lot of the intricate portions of the circuit. Sector 1 also very, very quick. 20 drivers on the grid. Let's take a look. Baza, Angel, Scars, Whisper, Adrian, no conviction on the grid. Zamis, the founder, here on the grid in the Alfa Romeo for a change today. Jake, Steph, Tim, Alexander, Dirk. We have Moen, Liam, Henners, Ifilipic, the champion, Mario, Hurricane. We have Neon here as well in a Red Bull, and we have Bajarn rounding out the 20 racers ahead of this one. 18 minutes of qualifying. Should be a ton of fun. I don't believe we'll be seeing any weather dynamics, but maybe we'll get a weather report. Who knows?
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it around here, but that doesn't make it impossible. I imagine the game could throw a curveball in terms of its. I imagine it's just a random number generator, and tracks like this where you probably wouldn't see too much rain. It's probably just a very low chance, but the chance is probably there nonetheless.
Well, one thing I can say is it's very interesting to see what tire compounds these racers are going to opt to jump onto here. We saw, of course, that endurance race, which presents an entirely different situation for tires than what you would get in a 50% distance endeavor, of course. Now, Filipic, the first racer out of this very unique pit lane, will be the one to take us around Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I think the tyres here this evening. I said on Saturday when we were doing that endurance race that, well, judging by the tyre degradation there, I reckon a softer medium will be possible around here. How easy it is to pull off, well, we saw a great difference in the amount of laps drivers were able to extract from a set of softs, some being able to do 12 to 13, others, Ben the Bear taking his tyres all the way to 20 laps in that race. Obviously that won't be possible here with the tyre scaling, but a huge difference there. So if that comes into play here, we could see soft hards maybe becoming a strategy if people do wear out these softs quickly, and if people are able to get that soft medium working for them, that could give them some nice pace in that second half of the race.
Do you have any favorites out of that tight championship battle for the second standings position? Do you have any favorites that you personally want to maybe see in there and get it?
I wouldn't say I've got a favorite. I mean, everyone always favors the underdog Jake. You know, in 5th right now, it'd be a huge jump to see him, you know, hop up into that place. But I mean, in terms of favorite, in terms of who I think we're gonna, is Filipic has already invalidated his lap.
It may have been intentional there.
Yeah.
Could be one of those performances we've seen from him race after race in the European split. He is definitely going to be promoted to a new division next season. Coming in a short way through. I think it was Canada that we had seen Filipic make his debut. And he won that race in Stroll's car, if I'm not mistaken, if my memory serves me right.
Yeah, I do believe he won it by a fair margin as well. It wasn't a close fought victory. That was his moment to prove himself, and prove himself he did. Now, obviously, he's proved himself even more. He's asserted himself at the top of that championship table, and no one can dethrone him here this evening. So he is the EU division champion.
We have had some information, I can say, and I can say a little bit, come out about Season 4. And, well, I can tell you that the applications, the sign-ups for Season 4 are going to be out within, if I'm not mistaken, the next week, based on what we were saying yesterday. But, yeah, I can tell you from what we've discussed regarding Season 4, I think there's going to be a lot of fun happening next season, Unicorn. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it was a much longer process than we thought going over that, but I think it will be well worth the wait, like you just said, and I'm very excited for Season 4 as Bajan opens us up at 135.4. Beaten by Henna's at 133.8. Pretty big time disparity between the two there.
No Conviction's going to cross the line now. What's he able to do? It's P3 at 135.919. Adrian at 139.3. Liam P2.
134.
Yeah, very nice from him in the Ferrari. Steph, 134.677. Liam in a reserve capacity here on the European grid.
Yeah, the first of those fighters in that battle for P2. Hurricane, 133.5. So he is on provisional pole right now. And he's currently sitting 4th in those standings. But only 9 points separate him and Tim. And someone else who's in those standings, Jake at 133.4. It's very close, 400th of a second in between the two of them.
Looking on with Tim right now. He's about to come through and finish a lap. He's just coming through Sector 3.
Fourth battle, and Hell, he's just coming out of the pit lane to start his first out lap.
Well, let's see what Tim's able to put on the board here. Pole position, a 133.265. And the gap between him and Jake is 0.231, 2 tenths. I'm just really getting all up and down the clock. 2 tenths of a second, the separation on the front row right now. Scars in the Renault. He will be flying down the second straight of Sector 2 here. Into turn 12. Ooh, big invalidation there coming through. 13, 14.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've got the Racing Hub open on the other screen, and I'm looking at the stats for those guys in the top 4. We've got Tim right now, who is currently leading on that provisional poll, and he's up there right now. He is currently the one coming into this race in that P2, but he's got, you know, tied least amount of podiums, tied least amount of wins. Only 1 win, 2 podiums to his name here in the whole season. Whereas behind him, Angel, 6 podiums, 2 wins. Hurricane, 5 podiums, 3 wins. So there's some stiff competition for Tim right now, but he's been very, very consistent throughout this season as Angel in that Racing Point starts his first flyer of the session.
Dark Chocolate and the Red Bull, he's flying through Sector 3, and we're going to take a look at him. One thing I want to talk about, you're talking about consistency, and something that we've seen with quite a few of these racers is some inconsistency in race starts. And on the final round of the season, we'll have to see who gets away clean and who gets away with a little bit of issues. And that has definitely been a battle for a lot of these drivers all season long. Everyone's so aggressive. Everyone wanting to get some early position. These first laps, of course, they present challenges. Dirk Chocolate, nice lap from him. A 134.943 in the Red Bull. His teammate Cotters not with us today. Neon in the reserve capacity out of this session. Had an issue with his wheel. So that car will not be finishing any laps throughout this session. Whisper in the Mercedes, he's going to be crossing shortly. Baza just ahead of him will be crossing first, however. What's the Williams able to do? Baza, P9, 135.646. How does Whisper go? 6th position for him. A 134.543 Unicorn out of the Mercedes.
Yeah, very, very nice time from him. And like you were saying there, the starts, someone who's not had a great start to qualifying is Angel. He invalidated his lap pretty early on in that Racing Point. And, you know, he does need, you know, a really good time to come out of this next lap if he does choose to go around again. And I think he actually is coming straight back into the pits. Almost hitting the pit wall. That would have been a bad start.
I don't know what happened there. Was it a split-second decision? Or was that
kind of... I think it was just misjudged the braking and just almost lodged it on the curb. But he saved it. He's back into the pits and he's got an opportunity to go out again in this second half of the session.
Well, taking a look at the times right now. Tim, Jake, that 2/10 separation. Hurricane's right there with him behind 0.04 of a second. And then you have Henners, who is in within a 6/10 margin. A little bit further back, Liam, Whisper, Steph, Dirk. They're all quite tight in that midfield.
Yeah, you brought up as well as a battle in the constructors as well between Ferraris and Mercedes. And Steph, look where those cars are. You've got Jake in second in the Merc.
They're
tight. You've got Hurricane in the Ferrari, and you've got Liam in 5th in the other Ferrari, just ahead of the other Merc Whisper. So there's currently 5 points separating them in the standings, and I think if we finish like that, without whipping out a calculator, I imagine Mercedes might just clinch it based on the 18 points that Jake would grab.
Does anybody in the chat have any favorites for this race? Look at the qualifying, look at the times. Let us know what you're thinking. Who is finishing this race on the podium? 7 minutes remaining in qualifying. So take some time, enjoy this qualifying with us, and let us know when we have just a few minutes left. But we want to know who your predictions are, who you want to win. Both Renaults presently on flyers right now. Adrian, the lead of the two of them.
Jake, he's just started his next flyer, as has Liam, and Hurricane's pretty close to it as well. Hannah's, so the top 5 all coming out now. Tim as well, he's just giving it a little bit of time to get his next flying lap teed up and ready to go. So These times should start crumbling down in
Well,
the next few moments.
Adrian just aborted a lap on the rear of Tim as Tim began. And I'm wondering if there was some kind of issue there that Adrian found. Maybe Tim wasn't in good positioning on circuit there. Zamis. A nice effort from him, a 34-2. So he slots himself into that top 5. He's within a second of the front runner now. Filipich says hello. Wow, does he ever? A 133.356, but on the medium compound.
That is astonishing out of him. That is a very, very nice place to qualify in those mediums. We were saying out the softs maybe dying off a little bit into this race. If that is the case, he won't have that problem on the mediums.
His teammate Angel now flying, and it looks like the Racing Points have set up a tow here, Unicorn.
Yeah, it's something we've seen, a couple of times throughout the divisions, the two Mercedes and Club, most notably, but Angel and Filipich, they've been getting on pretty well this season as well.
It's actually been quite a good team duo, I'll say that for certain. Yeah. We saw Mexico. I think one can safely say that's probably the furthest you can go to for your teammate. In that race, we saw Filipich pull a, realistically, he pulled a Rubens Barrichello and gave the win to Schumi. Angel winning his home Grand Prix as a result, and that's the team dynamics you really want to see.
Yeah, I'm sure I'd be very happy. Obviously, Filipich pretty much. I don't know if he had the title at that point. He pretty much had it locked down. Scars has just popped into third fastest with the Renault in a 133.364, just off of Filipich's time. So very narrowly missing out on that front row. What can Angel do though? He sets his first time. It's a 133.8, so a little bit off where he needs to be for that P2 in the championships. Right now, out of those 4 cars, he is the slowest. There is still time for realistically one more run in this session.
Alexander on the mediums. He's been a driver we have seen come through with some bad luck, especially in the latter end of this 17-round calendar for this European split. And the McLaren now, the last active driver in this session that will have an opportunity to get, a lap in, as he's the only one that has not yet done so. We'll have to see what it is, and he has quite good speed. We saw a bit of an issue between him and Ruben in Mexico, and then I don't believe we had Alexander racing with us last week.
I'm trying to think. I think you may be right. Well, so I do believe he's been learning, the wheel here, this over the past season, and his pace has been improving and reflecting upon that. So
a time now, what's it going to be from the McLaren? P9, a 134.158 on the mediums. So a good position on the medium tires. The only other person in the top 10 at the moment on the mediums is Filipich, and the Racing Point Garage has called it a day for Filipich. Angel, he is on an in-lap, and I wonder if he'll be calling it as well in 7th position. Dirk Chocolate now, he will be looking to improve, and it looks like he's not going to be improving this run around, so he's going to be coming back into the pit lane. Who else can we latch onto here for a lap? Whisper in the Mercedes, 11th on the timing tower at the moment. Let's see what he can do coming out of turn 12.
Yeah, he did set a nice lap time, put himself solidly in the top 10. Now he's been dropped out of it. He's sitting nicely in 11th place, which for some people is a very, very desirable place to be because it is that first spot with that free tyre choice. But obviously, he thinks he can go faster. He can, starting 5th would be much preferable to starting 11th, especially as most drivers here are on those soft compound tyres. Obviously, we do have a couple of outliers here. But there we go, across the line for the Mercedes. It's 9th place. He bumps himself up a couple of places. A 134 flat for him. Nice little time there. 2/10 off of Henner's best time, who's also on an outlap right now. And Hurricane is flying in the Ferrari as well. He's just come out of Sector 1.
Take a look at Hurricane in that Ferrari now. See what he's able to put forth.
Yeah, I'm not going to look. Hurricane, he's 9 points down on Tim, and obviously Tim right now is sitting in that provisional pole position, so there's no better place for him to be at the start of this race to withhold that second place from being stolen by any of these three drivers that are hunting him for the now best place available in the championship. Obviously, Felipe, as we've already said, has tied up the win. Zamas and Scars both reserving. Obviously, Felipe as well isn't in that fight for P2 either. So for Tim, those three drivers there holding up those other high scoring points positions are very, very useful for Tim.
Zamas and Hurricane doing very good there to pull off as Zamas. Nice job, 4th position, that 133.382. Scars, 200s quicker than him. Hurricane, he just ran it off coming out of that final turn, and it was going to be a 33.09, and that would have put him into that front row ahead of Felipe, who will not be improving. Tim, he's looking to improve. He's already on pole position, but he knows that he could maybe get taken off of it, as Jake right now, who has not improved through Sector 1, is going to need to look to reach for a little extra coming out of 2 and 3. So Sectors 2 now. This is where he needs to find a major improvement. Zamas, Scars, they won't be improving. Tim, he could be improving, but well, he doesn't really need to unless Jake does something about it.
Yeah, Scars is definitely not improving. He's just invalidated. Liam has just invalidated his lap as well. Like you say, Hurricane pretty much out of the running, and I'm pretty sure Angel, he's 1.5 tenths down, coming out of Sector 2 on his best time.
Take a look at the grid right now and how things have shaped up. Gapped right now from 1st down to Liam in 7th is 1.099. Angel 1.1 on the rear of them, and this grid in the midfield is extremely tight. It is extremely tight. You just got to keep in mind that those drivers in the front, they are a little bit further up in comparison to the midfield, so it's not showing you the clearest picture. Not everybody under a second to the leader, but I can tell you that the gaps in that midfield are going to present us with a very challenging race. Jake gets it done into 2nd position. He gives himself the best possible chance to collect that P2 in the championship next to the guy, well, who's currently holding on to it. That's Tim. So, it's Alexander P3 in the McLaren, a 133.188. So, everyone nice and tight, getting to know each other quite well here, Unicorn, in the top 10.
Yeah, Jake putting himself in P2. Obviously, 2nd in the championship would be lovely for him, but he's sitting 5th right now, so he just needs to outscore Hurricane by, well, 1 point to overtake him in the standings, and he needs to outscore Angel by 6 or 7. So 2nd place right now for him. Even if it's not 2nd in the championship, it could pull him into that 3rd spot from 5th. So I'm sure whether or not he finishes ahead of Tim in this order, he'll be very happy if he finished there in the race.
Well, let's take a look now. Tim on pole position in the AlphaTauri, a 1:32.656 was the pole time from him. Jake lines up on the front row next to him in the Mercedes, just 0.3 off the rear of the German. And then we have Alexander rounding out your top three. Felipic is fourth. He's starting on the mediums. The South African of Scars in fifth, and that will, of course, round out the top five. Zamis, Hurricane, Angel, Liam, and Henners round out your top 10, and we'll go down through the rest of this grid on the formation lap. One thing to note here, Neon in 20th, no time set from him, and we're just waiting on the drivers or something holding us up here. There's some kind of desync.
Yeah, not quite sure what's
Far too
holding
long
us
of a
on
sprain.
this.
If somebody's alt-tabbed in the race lobby, the game's been out for about 6 months, and I imagine you should know better by now. But you never know with with this platform we race on, what situations may present themselves.
Yeah, I think we'll give it a few seconds or half a minute to see if it sort of fixes itself. Whether
I do believe the lobby and the chat is indicating that Moen's having some technical issues holding up the remainder of the racers. So if he is able to Alt F4 or get out of the game, that would be greatly appreciated. We'll hopefully get him back in. But we have very few options of recourse here when a driver is disconnected like that.
There we go. It was indeed Moen. We'll get him another invite and get him back into the session as quickly as possible.
Yeah, hopefully we get to see him drive. It is unfortunate when these situations present themselves, to say the least. That is for certain. Well, we're going to have a nice formation lap, and then following that, a nice 50% distance campaign here for the first of 5 races around Abu Dhabi for the Misfits Racing League. What a season it has been. We are in the final race week of Season 3, and then Season 4 is not too far away. That will be coming through in January, and, well, I think everybody's quite excited for that. There's going to be quite a lot of tier balancing, grid balancing, things like this. A lot of the drivers are going to be thrilled about it. It's going to be very, very competitive.
Yeah, I think that'll be music to everyone's ears as everyone here in this current race gets the setup started. We've got 5 seconds on the clock until everything takes off. Action gets kick-started. Fingers crossed Moen gets back into the session quickly as well. He has already rebooted the game, which is a promising sign.
Yeah, you'd love to see him get in on that formation lap, as he can have control of his car. He's not in quite the position we saw Neon in recently, where Neon had an AI issue like that on the start of a race. The car took off the line. I think that was last week in Brazil. And then we've had issues like that all through the season. You'd imagine after 22 weeks literally of racing, that some of these issues would have been sorted, but unfortunately that is not the case, and we just have to do what we can to circumvent them.
Well, Codemasters did get brought for a very hefty sum of money by EA, and as much as everyone else have their reservations about what EA might do to the game in terms of microtransactions, etc., maybe, just maybe, the payoff will be a nice stable platform for 2021.
Overpaid if you ask me, but it is what it is. Well, Hurricane, Zamis, 6th, 7th. Let's take a look at the grid. Tim, Jake, Alexander, your top 3. Felipic in 4th. Scars in 5th. We've got Zamis 6th, Hurricane 7th. Angel in 8th. Liam 9th. Henners running out the top 10 drivers. Everybody on the softs in the top 10 except for Felipic. Let's take a look at the back 10 now. We have Whisper, Mario, Steph, all on the mediums. Dirk choosing softs. Interesting choice out of the Brit. And we have No Conviction, Bajar, and Moen, 15, 16, 17 on the mediums as well. And then we have another little monkey wrench there in the back 10. Baza on the softs. Adrian, Neon on the mediums, rounding out the final row of the grid.
Yeah, softs outside and, you know, the top 10. But Dirk and Baza, like you say, have selected those tyres, and maybe that will give them the jump on the start. For each of them, they got 3 drivers ahead of them on the mediums before they get to the soft runners, or the next soft runner. But everyone else outside that top 10 opting for the medium compound of tyre.
Yeah, it's a very interesting strategy choice here. We have 9 drivers on mediums, 11 drivers on softs. A very, very large split. But let's take a look here now. As we're all on the formation lap, the lights are coming on. 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Abu Dhabi. The Yas Marina circuit, the engines are revving. We've had a little bit of desync, and there you have it. There is, well, the car of what has happened there. Well, it looks like we're off racing. The lights are out and we're going. Oh, I am not entirely sure what happened there at the back, but things are wheel to wheel as we make our way through turns 1 and 2. There's definitely some lag affecting the equation of this lobby. I do believe that was Moen retaking control of his car. Not entirely sure what's happened with Steph in this equation.
Yeah, from what I gather,
we're going to wait to get a little bit of information here. Steph, we need to know what happened to you right now.
From what I saw, I think Steph might have jumped the start maybe because of the lag, and then there was a stationary car in front of him in terms of Moen not having control at that moment.
Well, we're wheel to wheel right now. Angel, Liam, Zamis, and I, Felipic, and this has really given us a unique race start. We're trying to figure out what to do in this situation. EA Games can't come fast enough, it would seem. Felipic, Zamis now, wheel to wheel. Zamis holding on with Felipic. Let's take a look at the position changes. If we can have a timing tower for a moment. Top 4 have not moved. Angel in 8th. Scars, Hurricane, 9 and 10. They're exchanging.
Some very tight battles off that start, which was, like you say, a little bit confusing for us, but fingers crossed everything gets back to working in just a moment. Things do seem to be stabilizing. We've got a few big winners. Adrian's up 8 places right now, and Mario, well, he's looking to take one back from him. The McLaren squeezes up the inside down in turn 20, and that's very nicely done from the McLaren there. Fighting outside the points, a lot of drivers coming into the pits. Whisper, Baza, and No Conviction all hopping in, presumably for front wing changes. Moen as well. But everything has normalized after that fairly hectic race start. And Adrian still tight to the rear of Mario, but not quite finding a way through into the chicane at the exit of Sector 1, or the entrance to Sector 2, I should say. But the front 3, Tim, Jake, and Alexander, already have a 1.8 second gap to Felipic behind. Remember, that racing point is on the medium compound tyres, so he won't have quite as much pace on them at this stage of the race, but he might have it at the end if he chooses to go to softs. So I imagine he will.
It's very unfortunate when the game circumstances plague a driver's race. In the case of Steph, I do not believe there was anything intentional as a result of that. I think it might have been Moen's car that caused the entirety of that catastrophe, and unfortunately it is at the back of the grid, and it hasn't caused a major incident for the front runners. We have to take these decisions very carefully, because when you restart a lobby, Parc Ferme is abandoned. But of course, when we have these situations happen, they are definitely things that we look at and we improve on moving into next rounds. And of course, this is the final round of Season 3. Season 4 is coming, and maybe we'll have a little bit of a patch in between for Codemasters to fix the multiplayer after 22 weeks of racing, now that they've been bought out for a very, very overvalued amount.
Yeah, well, with that does come that F1 license, I would imagine, so...
Yeah, that's probably the entirety of the value right there. Well, you love to see the races regardless. Angel hunting down Henners right now for 7th.
Yeah, big sort of train as Scars gets a fairly big slide. But not Nothing he can't correct as this DRS train. Sort of a miniature one. You've got Angel looking at Hennes and Hurricane looking at Angel. Hennes a little bit deep into turn 8. And that might have cost him the run here down the second DRS straight. Obviously, he has DRS on the Ferrari ahead of him with a Racing Point and other Ferrari. Angel and Hurricane, who are in this T2 fight in the standings. Angel around the outside of Hennes through the chicane. A lot of wheel banging, and this might open the door from both of them to Hurricane. Angel drops to behind the Ferrari. He's going to squeeze up the inside, though, now coming on the inside of turn 15 and 16, and he retakes P8.
Oh,
so
Hurricane.
Actually, after all that, no position changes.
No position changes, but it's been a wing change coming through for this Ferrari in Hurricane's case. He's just taken off his front left end plate. Scars has taken him as a result. Scars has a penalty. They're wheel to wheel now through the penultimate turn. Hurricane's on the outside. No pit stop for him. Scars is through. Hurricane's just taken 3 seconds as a result of this exchange, and that Ferrari is not going to be thrilled. Look at that end plate. Oh, we can't see it right now, but that end plate is gone on that Ferrari. Yeah, there it is. No left end plate, and he's losing massive position. He's gone onto the grass now, coming through turn 3.
Yeah, and already Jake up in P2. Those penalties are coming in, and up at the front, he's picked up a 3-second time penalty already. So that further extends Tim's advantage coming into this race. Hurricane now dropped down to 15th place. Jake with a 3-second time penalty, and while Angel, he's down in 8th place. So Tim right now looking very strong for that P2.
Liam and Zamis, they're very tight. Sorry to interrupt. We were coming out of turn 9 through 10 now, that nearly invisible turn, and now we're going to come into turn 11. Oh, Liam had such a good exit opportunity, and he lost it. They both had a bit of a shake. Neon now, he's dispatched his teammate of Dirk, the reserve, besting the full-time driver in this one so far, and we'll see what happens at the end of things. They're on different strategies. Dirk, that unique soft starting compound.
Yeah, I don't think, as of right now... Well, he's actually gained 1 place off of the start. His teammate, Neon, like you say, who has just taken him there, is up 8 places off the start. Adrian's up 10, so the top 4, interestingly enough, hasn't changed at all. But yeah, those soft tyres haven't worked out too great for Dirk yet, and as a result, that early pit stop in that midfield might cost him come the end of this race, but we'll have to wait and see. Still plenty of racing action left to go. We're on lap 5 of 28, so the end is still not really in sight as to who will be taking the crown in this final race for the EU division.
I think Jake's in big trouble. He's finally lost out on DRS with Tim. Alexander knows it, and he can see that rear wing is closed coming down into turn 8. Now as we come out of turn 9, the chicane, if you will, a little bit of a shaky exit. Has it cost him enough, though? Can he get a move here? Naughty Neon. No, it's Angel.
Oh, Angel, yeah.
He's had an issue. Alexander wheel to wheel with Jake. There's been a bit of contact. He maintains his front right end plate, it would seem. Filipic is breathing down their necks in the Racing Point as well. Let's take a look at Angel now. We have exchanges happening all over. Adrian and Mario, wheel to wheel. Ooh, a little bit of contact between the McLaren and the Red Bull. Right behind them, you have Scars. Neon is getting through on both. Oh, and Lag's playing a role. Dirk's in this. He's looking for 10th. He gets ahead on Mario. Neon's in 9th. Scars, 12th. Bajarn, 13th. Angel, let's take a look. Where did he land? Oh, he's really struggling here. No damage. But you know those tires are hot because without very much speed, he's had a slide.
Yep, Liam's into the pits as well. Scars is in as well. I think these softs pretty much had it for a few of these drivers, and they will be getting onto the mediums. Now, can you take a set of mediums? 22 laps around here. Or is it a soft, medium, medium, soft, medium, soft? I think it all depends on the second stint for all these drivers. And, well, now, Hurricane and Angel both pretty much out of contention for the win at this stage. Obviously, a safety car could bring them back in. I think not Hurricane. Alexander, yeah.
Yeah, clean move there. Mario now, the other McLaren. One loses his position, another gains as Mario clears Dirk. Dirk into 10th position on these softs. He's made up, let's see, he's made up 4 positions now, and there's another exchange. Filipich has taken Jake into turn 11.
Yeah, I think this is the sign that those mediums that Filipich started on, well, they're not wearing down, but the softs are.
Adrian Neon wheel-to-wheel through 11, 12, 13. Neon just took a penalty, 3 seconds cutting the inside corner. Don't want to be taking too many penalties over the course of a 28-lap race here. Adrian on the inside. He's defending very hard. Neon's had a bit of an issue. There's contact.
Yeah, he's collected Mario as well.
Big contact. They're both nearly stationary on circuit. Bajarn's going to just cruise on through. VSC deployed as a result, and I'm not entirely sure what to say about that.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit unlucky. I don't think there was a lot of place that Mario could go there. You know, and obviously Adrian and Neon fighting tooth and nail. A lot of the drivers now on the soft compound tyres that weren't past the pit lane, importantly, so no, are taking advantage of the VSC. It's not as beneficial as a full safety car, but obviously it does help nonetheless. And Liam now on the medium compound tyres, well, he's getting a lot of positions as a result of all those cars in the pit lane. He's on fresh mediums as well, so 7th place, he's actually leading in terms of those who have pitted. Everyone ahead of him has yet to stop. He's a fair way off the leaders, but at the same time,
we're back green.
In a pretty strong position.
I don't think anybody's taken a drive-through, which is something you could see when the circuit goes back to green. And now Scars and Bajarn are already in a wheel-to-wheel exchange. The Renault and the Alfa are coming down through in the hairpin now. That's the Renault on the inside. Who has the better exit? Well, the softs for sure.
Tim with a very nice defense of the lead. Doesn't let Filipich pass coming out of that second DRS straight. So very nicely defended from him. You can see now Jake is dropping off the back, and I think we are seeing these soft tires die out a little bit as Liam and Hennes, they've exchanged positions coming out of that second DRS straight. But
Filipich just took a penalty. He just took 3 seconds.
He did indeed. Jake is staying out. Sorry, Tim is staying out, as is Jake. And none of these leaders on the softs pinning in, but Filipich now up the inside of the AlphaTauri down towards turn 1. And I think it's very much safe to say that those medium tyres are now faster than the softs that Tim, Jake, Alexander, and Zamus started this race on. Only the top 6 are still on their starting tyres, interestingly. Everyone else in this race has already pitted, as we are on lap 8, most of them being on lap 7.
Fastest lap of the campaign, a 138.139 by Tim. To put that into perspective, Tim, he started this race on the softs. Filipich started it on the mediums, and Filipich had a 138.186, which is very, very fast and right on the heels of that AlphaTauri and the speed on the round, well, in and around the circuit, we'll say.
And Jake and Alexander just exchanged, and they're already out of DRS zone of Tim, who's now in P2.
Hurricane,
yeah, he's pulled the plug in the pit lane by the looks of it.
Yeah, that contact, I think, resulting in the end plate. That's hard to take, I think. And there was another issue compounding it. So it's unfortunate. Liam right now, he's looking to get ahead of Henners. One of the tightest gaps on grid right now. We've got Jake on the rear of Alexander. Alexander, who is going to be the first of these top 6 to pit? I mean, it's not going to be Adrian or Filipich. Who's it going to be? Well, it's going to be all 3 of them at the same time.
Yeah.
Zamus, where is he? Oh, he's pushing it. He's pushing it. So he's decided to stay out in second, and I don't know about that call for the Alfa Romeos. That's a very interesting call.
Well, we saw Ben do 20 laps on softs in the 100% race. We're in a 50% race here, so I imagine that at a push, Samus has got 1 or 2 more laps in these tyres if he really wanted them, but I'd be surprised to see him come in before the end. This does make it easier on his second stint.
Oh, there's been an issue. Henry and Tim have come together. That was a huge crash for the Williams. That's a VSC. How is that only a VSC, Unicorn? That car is done.
Yeah, it's a huge, huge incident, but it's off the track, I guess. So no on-track debris. It's right next to an off-ramp as well. So I guess the marshals can just get it pulled off nice and quickly. But yeah,
in
that
pieces,
is a
maybe.
Huge contact.
Oh my. That was, I can't believe I caught that the way I caught that, to tell you the truth. I'm going to have to look at that later on the highlights. Of course, guys, you can find all the highlights. We'll say the VSC brought to you by the highlights on the YouTube channel. Oh my. F for Henry in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Oh dear.
Yeah, that is very, very unfortunate. And, well, that is just, at that speed, that is very, very, you know, just, yeah, how that's not a safety car is beyond me. But we are back already to green flag racing. And Zamas does finally come into the pit lane.
Mediums.
Yeah, I imagine he'll be taking those to the end as well.
Well, how has this played out for him? Because that VSC, I think, might have given him a little bit of leeway here. Where's Dirk? Zamas has undercut Dirk realistically here. So that's good for him. 3.3 to Jake. I wonder how it's going to play out for Zamas in this campaign. Of course, Zamas reserving today in the EU. I think this is the first time we've seen him reserve in the EU split. He's done it in, I think, everything but Tier 2. Jake is just gaining on Alexander right now. Less than half a second the gap, and we saw coming in through 8. Jake a little bit later on the brakes now, DRS. As we haven't had a full safety car yet, so that DRS is enabled as soon as the VSC comes offline. And Jake is clearing
Scars
fifth.
as well. Scars just breezing past the Red Bull to take P8. So the Renault now up into more points. Barza and no conviction. They've had an exchange and it's not on track. Barza, another Williams in the off track, different place on the circuit. I don't know if there was contact between the two cars. No damage though for Barza.
Very, very lucky. No damage. I mean, it's one Williams out of this race. The last thing you want is to have another one out of the race. It's been quite an interesting race through the 11 laps we've had here so far, Unicorn. And
yeah,
I don't really know what to think come the end of this one, because Felipe and Adrian, they're on that starting medium compound of tire. You have all of these racers who have come in on a mixture of VSCs and wing changes, penalties on the board, 3 seconds for majority. And of course, those are the penalties that you can't really get rid of. Jake won't be happy that he's got one of them. Liam right now is in his sights coming down into turn 8. Not enough for a move just here, but something we've seen, Unicorn. You don't necessarily really want to make that move into turn 8. You want to make it into turn 11. Here we have it now once again, Jake with the DRS on the rear of the Ferrari. And it's nearly a no contest, the rubber differential. But of course, Liam, no penalties. Jake through into 4th.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen it today, or indeed in the endurance on Saturday night, but occasionally we'll see a driver come out of turn 6, not turn 6, turn 9, and just sort of lift off the throttle a little bit, just so that when they cross that timing line, they do get the DRS before they make the move throttle down, because it is so powerful down between turn 10 and 11, so...
Another penalty added to the board as Whisper has just taken his first of the campaign, 3 seconds for the Mercedes, and now he's had an issue. Realistically, he's had a slide. No Conviction is going to come around as he sees that Mercedes struggling on the grass, trying to get things back going. And now Adrian into the pit lane. Zamis is into 6th. Drivers have been struggling around Abu Dhabi, I'd say, Unicorn. There hasn't been too much contact, but when we've seen these struggles, it's been, well, no wing damage and grass getting kicked all over the place.
Yeah, it's been a very dramatic as to the start of this race, but with all that drama, we have only lost 3 drivers to retirements of varying different degrees. Obviously, Hurricane pulled his car off in the pit lane. Henna's had that huge crash, and Steph had that confusion at the start. So, you know, so far, pretty much so good for most of these drivers. Obviously, those 3 won't be thinking the same. We've got a few still big climbers
Alexander,
on the grid, though.
Looking at Liam, he was eyeing him up. He was eyeing him up. He looked for that inside. He got a little bit later on the brakes to see if there would be enough to kind of take advantage. But it was patience from Alexander that ended up keeping him in 5th right now. And he's going to continue to keep that patience. A little bit of a lockup here, but he's... Oh, and look at the drift. Does he catch this? Oh, that's lost him so much time. That has lost him so much time. Here's Zamis. This is bad news for Alexander. That drift's going to give him a ton of tire temp. Zamis is just cruising.
Yeah, big slide. Lost a lot of time, but... Well, Zamis now on the back. He's going to have DRS down into 8 and 9. As a result, on the AlphaTauri, he'll be looking for those points.
I appreciate all the chat right now in the stream, looking at how things may finish given the standings and how the timing tower is looking. Love to see all that mathematical effort in the stream.
Yeah, I'm trying to do my best to keep up here. It is an interesting one because right now, well, Felipe is in the lead, but he's yet to pit. But there is a pretty substantial gap right now, so Felipe could take the win here, which would take a substantial amount of points away from the pair of them, and that hurts Jake more than it hurts Tim. So Tim still, I think, strongest for that P2 in the standings, but with Angel, you know, out of the points right now, and Hurricane out of this race, Jake is still looking like he will climb, because he just needs to score 2 points to overtake Hurricane in the standings, so he needs to finish 9th or higher for that one, or 10th with fastest lap would work.
Well, something else here that we got to keep in mind is that there's still half of this race left, and we've already got half of this grid sitting with penalties, and I think that as we come through the degradation, and I've said it all season long, when you get to that real stretch point on degradation, drivers make mistakes, they extend, they cut. They have issues, they have slides, they have slips, and considering the slips and slides we've had here in round 17 of the European split so far, Unicorn, I'd have to say this is going to really play itself out nicely. And we've had a safety car on lap 14, as if it was a stroke of lightning to throw a monkey wrench into this.
Yeah, No Conviction should get a view of this, and oh my god, it's completely blocking the pit entry on that white line to an extent. That is a pretty catastrophic crash for him, and now the safety car, well, X6P, he's saying it's not good for Felipe. It has come at a pretty awkward time because he can't go for a set of softs to the end, and obviously starting on the mediums, if he wants to pit under the safety car, which I imagine he does, it's going to have to be hards to the end, which really isn't going to work out for him. Tim and Jake, well, they're on mediums right now. If Tim pits, I think Jake has to.
I don't think Jake pits.
But I wouldn't imagine either of them pit, but...
I don't think either of them pit, but I don't think even if Tim does, Jake will pit.
What about Liam? Liam's on 7-lap-old mediums. He could come in for a fresh set.
That depends. Was it the...
21 laps.
What was he?
He would have to take
what did he start on? Was it soft?
He started on soft.
Yeah, okay. So he needs to really go for a stint here. I think he was playing a soft, medium, soft. Ifilipic gets on softs, and that's a long stint. That's a really long stint on softs. He's going to get overtaken here, I think.
Yeah, Liam is coming in as well. Oh, this is... Well, for all of those people in the chat, like you said, who were trying to calculate things, well, things just got a lot more interesting, I think, with this safety car in terms of the point structure and how it's going to round out in these races.
I think Liam is in the best position here.
Liam's got a strong...
I think he's got the best set of mediums, the best track position with those tires, considering the drivers ahead of him.
Not in a good position. Adrian.
No, definitely not.
He has just come in for a fresh set of mediums. He started on mediums. So he still has to pit again, and now there's this safety car. He needs to pit for softs at the end of this race, and this really couldn't have come at a worse time for him. He is up 13 places from where he started, though, so I'm sure he still won't be disappointed.
He's in a good position as it stands. That is what we can say for certain. But the strategy that he has found himself landing on in this now, well, flipped upside down race is not good. Liam, no penalties in 7th behind him, knowing that Adrian will need to come in, is very good. Alexander will be the next closest car after that, which means, you know, 5-lap versus... It's a 5-lap differential between that Ferrari and the McLaren in this campaign now. Tim, Jake, with a driver like Ifilipic behind them, Ifilipic, I think we can only assume, is going to rocket launch himself into lead of this race on the fresh rubber, but it's a long stint on that set of tires. He might even be at puncture risk, but then again, we've seen Ifilipic do some miracles with tires before, and we'll see what happens. Now Liam, not entirely sure what's happened here, but he's actually fallen into 8th behind Scars, which puts the Renault 6-7. Very odd. Maybe some kind of shenanigans there. Scars looks to be trying to maybe let him back through, but we already know how that plays out.
Yeah, I think for the moment, I think they just have to stick with what's been handed to them there. I don't think Scars evidently wanted to take the position, and he realizes what's happened is, you know, not ideal, but the game won't let you concede that position really without just, you know, making it think that you've crashed, which would, you know, result in having to sit off track for a little while. So that could concede places as well to Dirk and Bajan, and I'm sure Scars doesn't want to do that. So the only benefit, going back to Ifilipic and his tyres, is that, well, the safety car is going to preserve them a little bit.
16 laps of racing. Well, not precisely 16. We've had quite a few good laps of racing here, and I think everybody in the stream is going to be quite thrilled at the fact that we're now going to get a nice little a rolling restart with a major strategy differential in the equation. I know I'm thrilled about it. This is exactly what you want out of a finale, is just monkey wrenches and hiccups and drama, I think, is what you want out of a finale. And this has presented us with quite a few interesting situations, and I still can't get over witnessing how that Williams ended up in the wall. That was just... I don't have the full picture of how that crash unfolded. I just know how it ended.
Yeah, it's... Again, another pretty dramatic way to end a race here in Abu Dhabi, and well, drama is high. I think drama is the key word for this race.
Definitely.
Everything has been fairly dramatic as Liam has a little bit of a slip into, what was that, 10-11. And he's, you know, recovered. He's really just throttling down. Do his best not to spin that car, because that really wouldn't stand well, especially for Ferrari, who right now stand to lose their place in the constructor standings to Mercedes. Obviously Whisper not in the points, but Hurricane out of the race, and Jake up in P2 right now.
I think we're going around again.
I think you might be right, and I think that might be as a result of Neon.
Yeah. If you are just tuning in, or if you are new and you haven't done so already, give us a hand, help us out, hit that follow button, because we have a ton of racing action coming to you next year. Well, in a few weeks' time in the new year for Season 4 action. Of course, we've got 4 more races around Abu Dhabi this week. We've got OCE Tier 2, Tier 1, as well as Club, and a ton of wheel-to-wheel action here. So if you enjoy Formula 1 virtual racing, this is definitely the place to be, and we could not appreciate your support anymore. You guys have been absolutely lovely since we began this in February.
Yeah, it's been thoroughly entertaining. So obviously I have not been here since February. Let's have a new edition of Season 3 at the very start of the third season here. So
welcome edition.
It's been a good season. It's been a good season. And I'm looking forward to moving on to Season 4. And everything that's planned for that one. And, just to see these drivers go again around, tracks like Australia is going to be a completely different beast when we go back to Albert Park, because obviously when we kicked it off there, we had what a week's experience of the game, 2 weeks of the game maybe, the drivers, and now
2 weeks.
They've got 2 weeks, and now they've got what, 5 months under their belt?
22 to be precise. 22 weeks.
Yeah, 22 weeks, plus, there'll be a couple of weeks in between, so it'll be a big, performance. I imagine the qualifying time, I'd love to see the difference between the qualifying time last time we were out in Albert Park to when we go back this time, because the quality of the driving will have just improved enormously in terms of the pace in the game, because it's pretty different to the last game, 2019, obviously. ERS, the overtake button, is different to the system we had last year. So, very different game. I imagine the times will be very different.
I think Filipich on these softs is going to just check out of the hotel early and see us in Australia next season, because he's in a very good position here. Someone else who's in a unique position is Zamis, 6-lap old mediums. The only one, he's got a whole train of cars behind him, not too far back on fresh rubber, but Zamis has been pretty good on tires, and I think we're just letting off now. We're away. Tim hammering down. Jake trying to get some heat into his tires, maybe weaving a bit here on the rear of Tim. I'm not entirely sure why he's done that, but Filipich on these softs has a charging Zamis on his rear, as has scars on his teammate in Adrian. And, well, class is back in session as all of these racers come through down the first major chicane.
Yeah, Alexander was a bit wide out of turn 1. That's what caused that little gap between him and Zamis. And now Adrian, getting a little bit slow, coming into sector 2, is getting his teammate nice and close to his gearbox as they come onto the long straight down towards turn 8. Obviously no DRS as a result of that safety car restart.
Does he look for a move up the inside here? He's looking, but it's just not time yet for him. And Dirk Chocolate in 9th position. He's in this train. He's made a few positions up. 5 positions. Bajarn behind him. 6 positions made up. They've been charging through this field. Filipich now with the move on the inside of Jake into 11. Does he get it done? Oh, what a lunge out of Filipich there. The softs giving him exactly the response he needed to get that move through. Tim now has the racing point in his rear view, and he's not going to be thrilled about it, I can tell you that.
Yeah, the only other thing there is that Tim, if he can get Filipich past nice and easily, because like you say, Filipich, those softs, he's going to just blast through, the pair of them and just get on with his race. He needs to create a gap, so when his softs do start to die off at the end, I don't think, we've seen, like you say, as Adrian gets a little love tap from his teammate coming through in the penultimate turn. But Filipich, he should be able to set his tyres to the end, but now is the time he will have the pace. The end of this race, he will not have that pace. So he needs to build up a gap so that when those tyres do start to die out, he has that gap to drop down into a little buffer zone, as now he is looking at Tim, he is looking at the rear of the AlphaTauri, not going for it, down to the second sector, but the traction out of this hairpin will be crucial.
Oh,
and Tim has had a very nice exit.
Liam just wants these Renaults out of his way right now. Filipich and Tim now, here we have it, coming down the straight. As easy as you like for Filipich here. Now, the thing is, no DRS just yet for these racers. Adrian and Scars have exchanged, and Liam with that front row ticket to all of the action. Zamis, he wants to get Jake as well. 1 lap difference, the rubber. No penalties for Zamis either. Angel and Whisper, they're in a wheel-to-wheel exchange right now, and we're going to jump back as Adrian. Does he have anything to say about Scars into 11 here down the inside? No. Angel. Oh, it's so tight. Whisper has had to take the off-road, and there's been an issue. Alexander. Yeah, he's waiting for traffic, looking to get that car back around. Angel still with Whisper wheel-to-wheel now. Whisper on the inside. Angel in 10th for the time being. Or is he? A little bit of a lockup. Whisper back through. Oh, a little bit of a wheel tap.
Oh, Liam as well. Adrian very, very wide through 19. And, well, before I just snuck up the inside, and so is Dirk. Dirk Chocolate up into P7. Adrian struggling in the final sector at the end of the 19th lap.
Struggle like that. Driver like Dirk Chocolate isn't going to wait around to smell the flowers here. He needs this position, and he's got the Canadian in the Ferrari ahead of him. So we'll have to see what Dirk can do about Liam here. Of course, Liam
as well.
normally driving that Red Bull on a regular day.
Adrian and Bajan now side by side through the hairpin, and now Adrian getting a nice bit of traction, but Adrian has to pit before the end of this race. Most other drivers, their pit stops are done and dusted. Adrian pitted from mediums to mediums, and well, the rules state that you have to use 2 different tyre compounds, unless of course it's a wet race and the inters or the wets are in play. But now Adrian has to go on to softs or hards, but at this stage of the race it will almost definitely be softs. Oh, and naughty Neon, he's just gone straight into the wall. I don't even think there was contact, I'm not sure. And that car is completely blocking the track, and as a result, safety car number 2 Striff.
I was just looking on over with what was going on with Neon. The moment I looked away from Neon, that car was in a wall, and we have a safety car coming out of the pit lane.
And mine was kind of the opposite. I was not looking anywhere close to them. I hop on board, I think it was Whisper who was behind it, and they just see a Red Bull nose diving into the wall. Very unfortunate. He becomes the 6th retirement of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And now, well, this gives a lot of people a lot of chances. And Jake's coming into the pits. He's going for softs.
Oh, wow.
Samus follows him.
Well,
Stars isn't, Liam's not.
They don't have much of an option here.
Well, this is interesting. This is Jake's do or die, really.
Yeah, it is.
He's put himself below Angel, so he's banking on the fact that he will take Hurricane in the championship, provided he finishes in that top 9, where he currently sits. So
that is just,
that's fine.
I am trying to figure out how someone loses their car there. Might have been on the outside of 9, just a little bit too much throttle.
The curve is bumpy on the inside as well. So, possible there.
Well, I'm going to ride along with iFelipic to, now that we have I wish we could drive with the safety car. That'd be fun. Nice little controlled pace. Nice 360-degree camera. Look at the circuit.
Yeah.
Get control of the helicopter for about 5 minutes. That'd be great. But right here where iFelipic is coming, we saw Neon's car crash just ahead of this DRS sign on that inside, and I think it might have been a little bit too much traction on exit out of 9 in order to cause that issue. He is driving and running with no traction control. If there was one more safety car to come out between now and the end of this race, I think Jake and Zamis would be the biggest winners for that.
I don't know here, Striff, because they need to overtake. They need the overtaking time, because they are on this fast combat tyre, and it will easily go to the end. We've seen, big stints. But the thing is, they got to get past. They got a lot of drivers. Jake's in 9th, Zamis is in 10th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars separate Jake and the leader, iFelipic. And, well, 6 separate him and Tim. But he needs to outscore Tim by 10 points if he wants that position. So, he needs to outscore Angel as well by 6 points, which he has just thrown out the window for this gamble. Angel, almost dancing with the pit lane there. Maybe trying to trick Jake into thinking that Angel made a mistake by not putting a lap sooner. But yeah, he needs to outscore Angel by 6 points. If Angel was to stay in, well, if Jake overtook him and Angel was to stay in 9th, he would score 2 points. So in order to outscore him by 6, Jake would need to come. Where is that? 6, I think. So top 6 for Jake is a necessity to get P3 in the standings. To get Tim, well, Tim needs to drop because finishing 2nd would secure P2 for him. In fact, without a win for Jake, 3rd would secure it for Tim. So Tim needs to drop pretty much down out of the top 5, and Jake needs to get at least 2nd for P2 in the standings. So maybe Jake was just covering for P3 in the standings.
It's such a...
Tim's also on 12 lap old medium.
I'm looking at it, right, and you have all these soft runners, 9 through 14, and you have all these medium runners. We still have a little bit. It's going to be a 5-lapper at the end of this, but DRS not for a certain amount of that time, just like any 5-lapper. We got to wait a few laps until that safety cars come in. We need 3 laps. So, oh man, the penalties in this situation. You know, you've got Jake. He's got 3 seconds. If he didn't have that 3 seconds, he'd be in such a better position. Gonna hurt him.
Safety car comes in at the end of this lap, and well, we get the finale. We get the showdown, and we find out who comes out on top in P2, 3, and 4 in the standings.
Well, Filipich slowing things down. I wonder what the getaway is going to be like for this restart as well. We had a decent one the last time out. The last time coming in behind the safety car. That safety car just about to enter that penultimate turn, and we've had a 5-second penalty get handed to no conviction. We've talked so long over the season how these penalties play a role on these light safety cars, and this is no exception. The penalty, well, the drivers without penalties are going to benefit, but here we have it. Filipich. He's hammered down, Tim on the rear of him. Let's take a look at how things are going for the soft runners. Jake is leading the charge for them. He's already on the rear of Angel as we move into turn 1. He's looking to the inside now. Angel placing that car nice, except not enough. Jake is already through into 8th position, and Zamis has the front row seat. And Zamis on these softs, seeing this response, he wants to fly with that Mercedes. Got an entire train behind him, and this has really helped Adrian, considering where his race was before, having to come in, get off of those mediums. Now he's in a nice tight grid with some fresh rubber, and he's right on the rear of Zamis. Angel under threat from Zamis now. The big question is, does Zamis make the move here or into turn 11? Angel with a move out to the inside. This is actually the better line through 9. You want that inside, but Angel a little bit later on the brakes. Very nice
Jake
defending.
racing hard as well. Try and get his place gained a little bit.
Whisper his teammate on the inside of Bajarn through 11 right now. There's a bit of contact, and Jake wants contact. He wants fighting. He wants to get through, and there it is. The door wide open. Angel's through on Bajarn as well. So Jake 7th, Angel into 8th, and Zamis now, he's through on Bajarn into 9th also. Oh, and there's been contact. Bajarn has had a big issue. No convictions gone into him.
Yeah, and Jake's just taking his teammate around the outside as well, down through turn 19. But that collision you mentioned through the chicane at the end of the long DRS straight, whilst it did get Jake 1 position, it cost him time as well. The 2 cars side by side prevented him from getting past. Scars as well is right on the gearbox of Tim coming out of turn 1.
Oh, Adrian
so
Zamis.
And look at this, yeah.
Oh, the Mercedes of Whisper. Everybody's in this battle right now, and the VSC has been deployed. Adrian and Whisper. I don't know if there's going to be an illegal overtake under the safety car right now, but Whisper, okay. So VSC, let's take a look now. Filipich is still leading, 1.5 seconds ahead of Tim. Tim on the 14-lap-old medium. Scars is in 3rd, Liam in 4th, Dirk is in 5th. Jake is charging. Will he have enough? Will he have enough? This gives everybody a little bit of an opportunity to, you know, save their tires a bit, save their battery a bit. What a race.
Well, here comes Jake. He really needs to close up now. The VSC has held Dirk, Liam, and Scars and Tim together a little bit more. And that's going to help Jake. So when DRS gets enabled at the end of the next or the start of the next lap, he could just hop from one driver to another. Let's say he overtakes Dirk down into turn 8. He'll then have DRS to try and get past Liam into turn 11. So that's what he's going to be hoping for. Dirk is actually dancing with the DRS detection point with Liam. He's around that 1 second mark. But look at the pace Jake has right now. He's really catching the Red Bull of Dirk Chocolate. And Dirk, MP5 right now, looking very nice. Obviously, I believe his career best is 4th. We saw it in the USA. DRS, there we go. It has been enabled as Felipe crosses the line. And Scars is still right on the rear of Tim. And if they were to fight, if Scars was to slow Tim down, maybe take the position away from him, it would be excellent news for Jake. Especially, remember, Felipe could still get a puncture at the end of this race. And, you know, Jake, Tim, Scars, anyone could take that win away from him. There's a lot of battling for...
Well, I don't think it's going to be too much of a fight for Tim, because if you look at the tire differential and the power of this Sector 2 here, there really isn't too much he can do, but let's take a look along anyway. Here's the DRS coming out of the Renault now. You can see Liam within serious proximity as well. This train all the way down through. Jake is already looking at Dirk. Let's take a look now. No move just yet out of either Jake or Scars. Jump back through now out of 9. Tim, still with that Renault barking in his rear. A good exit. And nothing, absolutely nothing he can do about that Renault with the DRS. Absolutely nothing. And it's the same situation for Dirk here, except he's actually in a bit of a better situation. Jake with a lunge through 11 gets it into 5th position. Zamis now 1.4 hunting down Dirk Chocolate. No penalties between either of them. And Dirk, he's going to need to hold off Zamis.
Zamis, he may be a reserve, but he's actually critical in the championship, I think. Because Tim, on those aging tyres, like you say, if Liam and Jake get past, and then Jake can then overtake Liam and Scars, comes home 2nd. If Tim comes home in 6th...
Oh, so you're saying Zamis could actually find Tim and kick him back a notch?
Yeah, if Zamis and Dirk both overtake Tim, if those tyres die off too much for Tim, we've still got basically 3 laps of racing, this one and 2 more. Tim really needs to hold on to these positions and hope those tyres last him to the end, because if Jake finds his way up into that 2nd position and Tim continues to fall, you know, look at the gap between him and Scars. There is no pace in those tyres that are on Tim's car. So Tim has a big job to try and just keep himself afloat in that P2, because Jake, this tyre strategy, he took the gamble and it might just pay off for him here. It is going to be very, very close, and I reckon Jake is going to be within... I reckon it's going to be about 2 points for the championship. Liam having a look up the inside of Tim, and that might cost Jake here. He's got very deep down into turn 8. Manages to hold it, but that is going to cost him time, and that's not what he needs with such limited amount of laps left to make these moves.
Half a second the gap right now. Big tire differential. Jake, Dirk, Zamis, all in formation. Liam catching up with Tim. Tim struggling so much on these mediums. I think he's in big trouble here when we get to Sector 2. Could be even turn 1 here, Unicorn. Oh. Who's landing on the podium in this race? Who is landing on it? You got to tell us. Get those suggestions in the chat, because we are about to cross into... Well, we've just crossed into the penultimate lap. Dirk, Zamis into 6th.
Yeah, well, the penalties are here a thing as well. Zamis and Jake, 3 seconds apiece. Felipe and Scars both have 3 seconds. Tim and Liam, none. So that could improve their finishing as well, because right now Tim would finish in 2nd, despite falling off of Scars. But I think that will change by the end. Barza disqualified for ignoring a drive.
Zamis has just taken 3 seconds, and this has put Dirk in a very good position as one of the drivers on this grid now. One of the 4 remaining drivers on this grid now without penalties. Tim now. This is it. This is it for the AlphaTauri. Can he do anything about Liam? Look at the speed. There's nothing in it for that Honda-powered car when the Ferrari comes down into turn 9 with the fresher tires. That's for certain. Jake looking on the inside of 8 and 9. It's the Mercedes coming around the outside of 9. Does he get this move done on Tim? This is huge. This is absolutely massive. A drag race coming through 10 now, down into 11. Here we go, and Zamis has the popcorn. Oh, Jake on the inside.
Oh,
Tim has actually closed in on the inside very early here. All of the cars have gone into the off-road. Liam in third, Zamis in fourth, and Jake. No, Jake has dropped into 8th position, and who's there to pick up the pieces? It's Dirk in the Red Bull.
Yeah, and they all picked up penalties, and Dirk still has none. Adrian's on 9, Tim's on 5 now. I think out of a result of a collision. So, what on earth are we seeing? Zamis and Liam now exchange for third place. Zamis picking up that final podium position. And now with all of those drivers in the top 4 and 3 places, the position on track is where they will finish. But, well...
These drivers are about to finish a 17-race season. In the case of the European division, we knew there was going to be drama. I don't know if we knew there was going to be 8 drivers out of this race. 8 drivers out of this race in Abu Dhabi for the first of 5 races around Abu Dhabi this week. This race has been, well, it has set the bar very high. Unicorn, Adrian with Tim.
Well, we've got a P2 in the championship up for grabs. It comes down to a penultimate lap collision, and I mean, Tim, I think, got a 5-second penalty there for collision. So if the stewards have something to say about it, this race might not even end when we cross the line. We could have this change in the Discord, depending on what that decision is made as to whose fault that was.
Stewards get the last draw here. Tim, Liam.
He's not done. He's not done. He's taken back what was his. He's now back into 4th place. Liam not going to have anything to say about it. And now Adrian looks around the outside of the Ferrari, and he, on the fresh sauce, he's got to slide out of the rear, though. Can Dirk capitalize?
Oh, Dirk! No!
That is so unfortunate for the Red Bull. Now, that puts Jake up in place. Adrian slides on the last lap in the last sector. Jake looking for P6 in the standings. And if Tim gets a penalty for that collision, if it was his fault like the game suggested it was, obviously, the stewards, that's up to them, not us. But
Dirk might
it is
lucky.
Ivanipic who wins. Gars P2, Zamis P3, Tim P4, but Liam gets him on penalties. Will Jake do the same? No. So Jake finishes in 6th, 600ths of a second behind Tim, a championship rival. So I think as it stands, Jake will inherit P3 in the standings. Tim holds on to P2, Hurricane drops to P5, and Angel will take 4th. But goodness me, what a race.
The last time we visited Abu Dhabi for an official Misfits Racing League matchup was Tier 1, the debut of the Misfits Racing League, in February. And it had quite the amount of drama, and it would appear that this circuit just likes to present us with all of those ever-changing opportunities here today. Unicorn Adrian gets the game-awarded driver of the day. It was Felipic with the win and the nice little walkout onto the podium here, and let's take a look at that classification because I think everybody wants to see it. Zamis with the podium, a 136.391, the fastest lap as well. Of course, Zamis will be thrilled as the founder of the league after coming into the podium on the final of the EU split. We'll see him on Friday for Club, but you can't take away from the champ. Felipic from 4th to 1st, a very, very good drive from him. Scars collects 2nd, and Zamis in 3rd. Liam 4th, Tim 5th, Jake 6th, Adrian 7th, Dirk in 8th, Moen in 9th, and 10th for Whisper in the Mercedes, rounding out the points here. And of course, this standings, this classification, as Unicorn briefly mentioned, I think is going to be quite provisional, considering how this race has gone. And the stewards, despite it being the last race of the season, are still going to be awarding penalties for those drivers looking to maybe participate in the next season. We'll have to see how that all plays through. But man, Unicorn, take us through some recap of that.
Yeah, that was insane, as you say. And I mean, Zamis, like you say, he's going to be happy coming in here as a reserve, not only the podium, but also taking the fastest lap as well, taking an extra point. Liam, 9th to 4th. There's a lot of big gainers. Adrian, despite his strategy, actually managed to round it out. That second safety car saved him a little bit, I think. 19th to 7th. Dirk, a few people in the chat disappointed with what happened to Dirk on that final lap, but still 14th to 8th. Moen, 17th to 9th. So some huge gains here. And as well, I think, as a result of Liam getting, through that last lap shenanigans fairly unscathed. I think he might have just saved Ferrari's hopes in the championship, because Jake, the only other point scorer, well, Whisper picked up 1 point in 10th, and Jake picking up, I believe, 8. So it's 9 points compared to 12. So Ferrari outscored Mercedes by 3 there. As, like you say, the standings pretty provisional, I think it's safe to say there. So the constructor standings, I believe P2 is going to be withheld by Ferrari there, just slightly extending their lead in that second place. And, well, we've been, very excited about a lot of second places here this evening.
That was...
And, yeah, what a race that was. It was full of drama. I don't think we've ever quite been that loud at the end of a race. That might be the most dramatic end to a race I think we've ever seen. And we've seen some pretty dramatic races.
That was I think a very good way to cap off what's been a very intense 17-round season for the European division. And I think everybody's going to be looking at that race. The highlight, I'm going to be having to work on the highlights for quite some time with that one, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you guys all in the chat enjoyed it, streaming and hanging with us here. It's a lot of fun, so we appreciate all the support as always. We are going to finish off there, though. We have 4 more Abu Dhabi Grand Prix this week. Oceanic, Tier 2, Tier 1. And, of course, the Club Division on Friday. And then we look to plan... Well, we have Season 4 pretty well planned, ready, set, dead, and, well, locked and loaded to go. We're just going to open up sign-ups soon, and stay tuned for those. Join the Discord if you want any information about the Misfits community or the league that we run. It's just a great place, a great family to be a part of. So, with that being said, thank you so very, very much to everybody who's tuned in for the European races this season. We are going to see you again on Thursday. And with that being said, we're going to bid you a good evening, and we're going to raid to finish out the stream. And of course, we'll see you guys for more racing this week. Thanks a lot.